Hello, Power Up Nation. I'm Pat Council, and on Designing Your Life today, let's talk about how to change your reality to fit your vision. As we continue on with our Summer Success series, let's find out what it takes to actually get the outcome that you're looking for. And before we get into that, I just want to let you guys know there is a lifestyle assessment test that you can download absolutely free by going to designingyourlifetoday.com/success series. There is no opting in for this particular assessment test. However, if you would like to get on my email list, simply fill in the box that pops up and you will be added to my email list. Or you can text the word join, add your email, and send the text to 904-787-6055. Okay, so let's talk about how to change your reality to fit your vision. First of all, you have to be fully aware of what your true vision is. In other words, you need clarity. But let's take it to another level and talk about what really is going on here. Now, have you ever stopped to think about the fact that everything that you are experiencing, everything that we all are experiencing in our world today, it's because of the type of actions we've been taking or inaction. So sometimes when we don't do what it is we're supposed to do, when we're supposed to do it, or we do nothing, we think that we're not going to get any results, but you're getting results. It's just the opposite results that you're hoping for. So in order to change your reality and make it fit your vision, in other words, your vision, these are these amazing goals that you've set. In order to do that, you have to make very specific moves. So let's talk about it like this. Pretend you had a farm and you planted corn. So in order for you to get a crop full of corn or to harvest a crop of corn, you have to first sow corn seed. And so the point that I'm getting to here is that if you decide that you want to have a crop full of corn and you sow nothing, then guess what? You're going to get nothing. And nothing leads you down a path that brings you things that you don't desire. For example, if you want to increase your financing, you have to do things that it takes to actually increase the financing. If you want to have better health, you need to do the things that it takes to have better health. If you want to have better relationships, you are the feel that these relationships will eventually, let's say, stem from. So you have to first plant the right things in you. I'll use myself as an example. I've said this several times on different podcast episodes. I grew up, I was raised by my grandparents, but the time that I stayed with my parents, I saw a lot of arguing and discord, and I didn't really see a loving relationship until I went to live with my grandparents. And so the point that I'm making is, so I kind of had both sides in me. And while I wasn't that argumentative, I was not a person to tolerate certain things, and I had very little patience when it came to certain types of relationships. So the point that I'm making is there were some things that I had to learn. So I had to plant and sow some seeds in me. Okay, when it comes to having a better relationship. So what does that mean? That means I had to learn how to have a great relationship with myself. When you grow up without your parents, and especially in my case, and I've mentioned this before, that my mom did abandon my brothers and myself. and you grow up like that, then you have certain thoughts going on in your mind about your confidence and how you feel about yourself in relation to other people or in connection with other people. And so I had to plant some seeds in myself. I had to kind of let my confidence come out and build my self-esteem and these kinds of things. So that means the seeds that I planted, I had to invest in myself. I had to, as I said, study things that would allow me to bring my better self forward and to get a better understanding of who I was and who I am. This is why our tagline is "Do Life with Power, knowing that you're built by design to win." Regardless of how you were raised, how you grew up, if you make a decision that you want to have the best life financially, physically, and as far as your relationships are concerned, then you can actually have that. So let's kind of get back on how do you change your reality to fit your vision? It is not possible for you to change your reality unless you take in new and different information. And it's not just about taking in new and different information. It is about taking in the right information. All of these types of actions are forms of, back to the farming analogy, sowing seeds. In other words, everything you do and everything you say, you are planting a seed that's taking you somewhere or bringing you some type of return. And to think that you can sow one thing and, let's say, reap something different, well, that's just not going to happen. And so years ago, I learned that the hard way. And it doesn't matter how much you push, and doesn't matter how much you prod, and you want to make something happen. If you're not planting the right seeds, that thing is not going to happen. So you have to take the right actions when it comes to your finances, your health, your relationships, and any other thing that you desire to have. Understand this: if you want to change your reality to fit your vision, you need to plant the seeds that are congruent with that vision. In other words, it has to be an agreement. It has to be something that aligns with your vision. Because the seeds that you are planting, a seed always produces after its own kind. And this is an example, a little bit off the subject, but on the subject. This is why when children grow up to behave a certain way and they have a bad attitude, or they have this attitude of the sense of entitlement, where they have this sense of entitlement, this didn't just come out of nowhere. Okay, these are the kinds of seeds that were planted in them, and as a result, this is what was produced. So if you want your vision to change your reality to match your vision, or even your vision to become your reality, then you know what? You have to pay attention to what kind of seeds are you planting. Doesn't matter how angry you get. Doesn't matter how much you complain. Doesn't matter how much, let's say, you whine about things not going your way. If you are not planting the right seeds, then you're not going to get the right results, the results that you expect. So that is the main key to actually changing your reality to fit your vision. See, most of the time we look at where we are and we look at our reality and we go, wow, look at my life. There's no way I could possibly dig myself out of whatever that situation might be. And I can tell you, I've been there, done that. And I can remember years ago, and of course, this is before I even got into real estate, before Power Up Nation was, let's say, a thought, and perhaps it was a distant thought. But before any of this came about, I can remember having a car, and this is actually before they were putting GPS tracking systems in all cars. And so I can remember actually hiding my car because I didn't have enough money. So I was hiding it from the bank. So until I could find the money, I was new in real estate. I needed a car. And so I realized that that was not the best way to handle that problem. So what did I do? I planted the right seed. So what was the seed I needed? I needed a money seed. And two things that I did brought me exactly what I needed so I could pay that car off and actually have a car for real estate. And eventually, of course, I leveled up and bought a new car. So what were the two seeds that I planted? One was a money seed, and the other one was an action seed. And the type of actions that I took were money making activities that would actually bring me what I needed. The type of money seed that I took was I invested in me. And while I didn't have enough money, or at least I didn't think I did, to, let's say, tithe, and I didn't know enough then, but I knew enough to give something. And so I gave what little I could. And so those were the two ways that I planted money seed. Because whenever you create that kind of a vacuum through the form of gratitude and giving, you are going to position yourself to get a return. Now, the thing that allows you to get that return is the kinds of actions that you take. And are you truly investing in growing whatever it is you are trying to grow? So think about that. What seeds are you planting? And be honest. And if you don't know what seeds to plant, start by assessing your life. And that's why you can go to designingyourlifetoday.com/success series, and you can get the lifestyle assessment test. It's very easy. It's very simple. And I think you'll have some fun understanding more about how powerful you are and what's capable. And of course, the instructions are there on the test, and you can do it, I'm going to say probably in 10 minutes or less, maybe. So think about this is going to make you aware more of what you are sowing. Because as I said, a seed always produces after its own kind. And so when people don't have enough, it's because they're constantly thinking that they don't have enough. They're constantly withholding from other people without thinking that they need to invest in themselves. And as a result, nothing grows. If you plant nothing in your field, you should not expect to have a harvest, because you're not going to get a harvest. The best that you can hope for is that something or someone will provide for you. And in this case, in the US of A, people expect the government to provide certain things for them. Well, you know what? If you have not planted a seed and the government is providing all these things for you, the reality of it is you're kind of pulling things from someone else's crop. Now, you say, well, hey, people should share. Well, that's really not your call now, is it? If they built it, and they generated it, it's up to them what they do with it. However, let's take it a little further. When it comes to you not getting the things that you desire, even if you can, let's say the government is going to provide certain things for you, you know what happens? People get things from the government and they do one of two things. They either complain that it isn't enough, one of three, actually. They complain that it isn't enough, or they complain about the restrictions, or they try and find ways to get over on the government so they can get more. Why? Because that's how we're built, to win. We're built to want to have nice things. We're built to desire living a life of, let's say, luxury, if you will. We're not talking about relaxation. When we talk about luxury, we're talking about having nice things. God put Adam and Eve here in the Garden of Eden. He didn't put them here and on this earth and said, you know what? I think you need to rely on the government. And we're not going to get too far into that in this episode, but I will say this. If you were to go and read your Bible, you will see in the Old Testament, God did not intend for us to have a king or a queen or anyone over us. He expected that because we're his creation, he expected that we would come to him, because the scripture does say, my God will supply all my needs according to his riches and glory by Christ Jesus. So he expected us to come to him. So If you want to change your reality to match your vision, well, keep in mind, you must have a clear vision. Secondly, as I said, you must plant the right seeds because the seed always produces after its own kind. So if you've been believing for something, or if you set goals to achieve something and it's not happening, then take a look at what kind of seeds are you planting. Now, I want to make you aware of a seed that most people don't pay attention to. And I don't know why people think this is cute, but I have to tell you, it's an unattractive quality a lot of times that as human beings we exhibit. And it's a quality that it's not necessarily, I don't want to say it's a part of us. Okay. But let me just kind of say what it is first. Fear. That some people go, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm so worried. I'm so afraid. And what they're expecting is that someone will say, you can do it. It'll be okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think at different points in our lives, I think we need that. And so, but when someone provides what you need, that encouragement, then instead of fighting against it and rejecting it, which means you're actually putting up a resistance to achieving your goals or receiving the goals that you desire, making that vision become real. You're putting up a resistance. Instead of doing that, then you know what? Accept the encouragement and feel empowered by it and go towards your actual vision. When we're afraid, we're looking at our reality and we're thinking that the future is going to bring us more of the current reality that we don't desire. And if that's you, then you know what? Put your attention on your vision. And I mean, just bask in it and wrap yourself in it using your vision and just imagine what you're going to feel like once it happens. Because when you start calling on that feeling, then all of a sudden you are in the process of changing your reality to fit your vision. So think about these things and be honest with yourself about what's going on with you and what you're not doing, but also be honest about what you're capable of doing. And make a promise to yourself that, you know what, I am going to make this happen. I am not going to give up. I think when we set goals, sometimes people think that it's going to happen overnight. And that's a good thing because that is that confidence that's coming out initially. But then somewhere along the way, the minute we run into some challenges, then we allow a lack of confidence or something to poke holes into our self-esteem. If you want to change your reality to fit your vision, be honest with yourself about the fact that, you know what, it's okay if I have a few challenges, but it's okay if I have a setback, but I'm not going to give up because I know what it's going to feel like when I actually cross that finish line. Why? Because that's the power of your imagination, is that you're able to actually imagine the feeling before it even happens. So get excited about your life. Get excited about where you are. Be grateful. And finally, as we wrap up, if you want to change your reality to fit your vision, stay away from people who want to talk about the negatives of today's reality. Okay. Or in other words, where we are right now. And let me give you one last example. I was in the grocery store and I like to go to the self-checkout counter because I'm actually faster sometimes than the cashier. So I can go, I can get my food and I can keep going. But there's always someone, a cashier or someone there, an attendant waiting to help you in case you have a problem. So I am at the cash register. I am ringing up my products, okay, scanning them. And then there's the attendant, and he's seen me more than once. And of course, because I smile and, I say hi and I'm nice, I put out that kind of, I guess, aura, if you will. he decides that he wants to talk about things that are going on with the president, the war, how much our gas is costing, and how expensive it is, and how certain savings should be passed to us, and we shouldn't have to spend so much money for gasoline and blah blah blah. So finally, I found it to be annoying because I thought, you know what? I'm here to shop, okay, and I'm here to buy something. And that's not the world that I live in. And it doesn't mean that I'm not aware of certain realities. But as I said to him, I said, you know what? I make it a practice not to complain about things that I'm not going to fix, or that it's not in my wheelhouse to fix. I just do what I can. And I'm grateful for life. And I'm grateful for everything. And he was polite, but I could tell he didn't like me saying that because I wouldn't chime in with what he was saying. Now, here's why I didn't chime in. And I hope you guys will get the picture here as to how to change your reality to fit your vision. My vision is not being able to afford gasoline, not having enough to pay for food. That's not my vision. My vision does not include certain things that means that will take me away from my quality lifestyle. But he wanted to spend time talking about all the things that would involve not having a quality lifestyle, that involved struggling, that involved complaining about not having enough, which pushes you towards poverty. And so the point is to make sure that my vision, that I stay on point with my vision and where I'm headed. And since he was talking to me, I chose not to participate in that conversation. Often we participate to make people feel better. But if you've listened to my podcast that's a part of this success series, Keys to Choosing Your Success Circle, you'll understand more about why I chose not to participate in that kind of conversation. I'm not going to speak a destiny that I don't desire to have. Remember that everything you do and everything you say is a seed. So what kind of seeds are you planting? If you want to change your reality to match your vision, then you need to plant seeds that match the vision. And me talking about poverty or not having enough and everything that's going wrong and expressing no gratitude, that would take me away from the vision that I have for my life. So I hope that story because that's a real story. So I hope that kind of brings home the point. When you act like you don't have enough, remember, everything you do and everything you say, you are planting a seed. When you act like there isn't enough, when you talk like there isn't enough, then if that's your reality today, that will be your reality tomorrow until you change the way you speak and you change the things you do. Listen, you guys, remember to go to designingyourlifetoday.com/success series. Scroll down to the section that says downloads, and you will see the first download, the lifestyle assessment test, and you can click to download it. Coming soon, we're going to have a reading list that you can download and some virtual information that will benefit you. And of course, towards the end of this, you will be able to connect with our community. Now, we're doing this towards the end because the people that come into this community, by the time you're finished with listening to this kind of information, you will understand the kind of people that you're going to be connecting with. And if we're all thinking about winning, if we're all thinking about making great things happen, if we're all focused on our vision and tuning out the negative aspects of reality. And here's my caveat. When I say tune it out, that doesn't mean you ignore challenges that you need to face. It means that you envision having solved those challenges. You envision that you have everything you need to deal with those challenges and to make them go away. Okay? So that's my caveat. So, but we're going to have a lot of things coming soon and towards the end of the Summer Success Series. And stay tuned for our next download. So in the meantime, as I said, go to designingyourlifetoday.com/success series, and you can download the lifestyle assessment test. It's very simple. It's very easy to follow, and I think you'll have some fun with it. Hey, you guys, I want you to have an amazing day and do life with power, knowing that you're built by design to win.